Coming to you from New Orleans, PCA 2025, and that coverage is brought to you by our friends at Drew Estate. So, I don't even tell you what booth I'm at. She's going to put up great pictures, but you know, Blackworth Studio, Black Label Trading Company, and Mr. James Brown.
They do.
It's changing the industry. It's a whole different edge, but it's for everybody, I believe. I don't know if you make it for everybody, but anybody could enjoy your blends. There's so many different varieties, and I know you're going to sit there and showcase some of those now, and I'm looking forward to just listening.
Sure, man. Yeah, I mean, we definitely try to do what we do, but you know, we do have options for everybody. So, you know, between the two brands, we have a lot of cool stuff. We always try to do something cool at PCA. So this is going to be our 10-year anniversary for Blackwork Studios. So we're doing a box that we're calling the Boom Box. So we're kind of taking it back to our first branding with Blackworks back in 2015. And it's going to be a collection of all the limited releases we've done for Blackwork Studios over the last 10 years. So some of the cigars in there, you know, people have been waiting a long time for them to come back, so we're excited to get those out. And then with Black Label Trading Company, we're introducing Toros Vitola to our core line. So we've had a couple here and there over the years, but now we're doing everything in the core line in 6x50 Toro as well. So that's kind of what we're focusing on at the show. You know, enjoying New Orleans, so it's been really good so far. And yeah, so we got going on.
I got a question.
Yeah.
In your blending style, because every master blender has their own blending style. In your blending style, do you look to have transitions, or is that just naturally occur in the blends that you make? Because it seems like your cigars, they're rock and roll, they're jazz, they're roller coaster. They kind of move with you. You can never know what you're going to get, but you're glad you got what you're coming next.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I would love to say as a cigar maker, there's something we do to promote that. But it's not the case, you know, not to get overly nerdy.
White and nerdy, think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Can't you see I'm white and nerdy? Look at me, I'm white and nerdy.
But the way tobacco functions is it's all about humidity, right? So flavors from tobacco come from the burn rate of that tobacco. So when you light up that cigar, that first inch is going to be the driest state that cigar is going to be in during your smoking experience. So as you pull hot, humid air through that cigar, rehydrate that tobacco, it slows the burn down, intensifies the heat, changes the burning ratio of that tobacco, which is ultimately going to change the flavor. So you're naturally getting those transitions because of the humidity in the cigar as you smoke it.
So this is probably a dumb question, but I'm standing next to somebody who knows so many great things, and so I want to ask you.
Sure, man.
I would walk away feeling bad if I didn't, so I don't mind looking silly. If you've got a blend, and you're talking about how fast it burns or how hot it burns is how it's going to change the flavor.
Yeah.
Laying the tobaccos next to each other in the bunch, do you do that in a specific way to where it incorporates a flavor, or does that make as much of a difference?
No, so it's really, when you talk about bunching a cigar, it's all about combustion, right? So that's the main thing. So when you're doing a bunch, you're going to have, you know, whatever your lightest tobacco is, say it's a Seco, for example, you're going to have your Seco on the outside. Then you're kind of going to build towards the middle with your heavier filler leaves, Vizos, Ligeros, things like that. You want the lightest on the outside because that's going to be in contact with the binder and the wrapper, which are, you know, the wrapper traditionally is going to be a heavier leaf as well. So the way you organize it in that way so that everything is going to want to burn at the same rate, right? So you need that lighter leaf to be next to the wrapper to keep the wrapper burning as everything else burns. So it's really about the consistency of the burn, the combustion of the cigar is why we place the leaves where we do when it comes to the bunch of the inside of the cigar.
So if you've got somebody who's never experienced your artistry,
yeah,
and let's say they're a new smoker into it for less than a year,
yeah,
and somebody who's been smoking for a long period of time, that's a veteran into it,
yeah,
for the new guy, what would your first 3 offerings that you would suggest to them to try? And then also for the veteran, what would be those 3 they want to get into?
I would say somebody that's new to our line, I would definitely suggest the Killer Bee. I think the Killer Bee is a great example of the uniqueness of what we do. It's definitely a medium strength cigar, but very full flavor. So I don't think it's over the top. It's a good starting point. Also for Black Label, I would say that either the Porcelain or the Santa Muerte is a great cigar to start with. Both of those cigars are still going to be in that medium strength, but very complex, good spice component to it, but nothing over the top. When it comes to, people that have been smoking a long time, I mean, that's where we kind of got a lot of options, you know what I mean? For Black Works, I would definitely say the Hornet. The Hornet's probably the most unique cigar that we make, I would say, from a flavor standpoint. With those candela accents that it has, they impart a really unique profile to that cigar. Big, bold, spice forward. Also, for Black Label, definitely the Last Rites. I mean, the Last Rites is a cigar that we started with, almost 13 years ago. It opened a lot of doors for our brand. It put our brand on the map, so to speak. And still today, it's our #1 selling cigar for Black Label. And then, we have a ton of different limited releases that come out every year. A lot of those, like Morphine, that was our first limited release that we ever did. And that's definitely going to be a cigar that I think really represents what Black Label's all about. That kind of big, bold, spicy intensity that we love about Nicaraguan tobacco.
I find that your branding is on point, right? You've got such vibrant colors or such a story within the images that you put in it. And a lot of people will buy a cigar because of the way it looks, right? You see it with your eyes before you put it in your mouth. And so the first one may be on the band, but the second one's going to be on the flavor. That's what's going to bring you back. And what I like about, because I've had the opportunity to smoke a lot of your brands or a lot of your blends.
Yeah.
And I know that I look at the band and I just love the band. And then I smoke the cigar and I want to smoke the cigar again, whether it has a band on it or not. You don't put all your money in your packaging and your show.
Right.
That blend is strong. Do you make the blend and then you come up with a story behind it, or is I really have this story and what can I have to fit this story?
It goes both ways.
Really?
But I think, kind of to your point, I truly believe that every cigar tells a story. You know what I mean? Every cigar has its own characteristics. And, I feel like when you're going to sit down with this cigar for an hour and a half or 2 hours, whatever it is, like, it should make sense. You know what I mean? From a branding standpoint to what the cigar is. So a lot of times, the blend comes first and I kind of ask myself, what is this? Like, what does it say to me? What's the feeling, when I'm smoking it? And then, the flip side to that is certain cigars I've kind of known, like, okay, I want to do this theme for the branding. So what does that mean for the cigar? Like what cigar makes sense with what we want to do for the branding? So it definitely goes both ways, but I think that it has to be, number one, it has to feel authentic. It has to be cohesive. It has to make sense. And, I feel like with our products, the branding is one thing that has, kind of elevated us along the way over the last decade, is that people get it, they want to be a part of it, and the branding speaks to people, and they can relate to it. And for me as a cigar smoker, I started this because I felt like when I walked into a humidor, there wasn't necessarily anything that spoke to me, and so I assume there were a lot of other people out there that felt the same way. And then I love to see that people can really relate to the branding. They're into it. They want to be a part of it. And, when they find their cigar, as a cigar maker, that's always a great feeling,
There's some manufacturers in my life that I always told myself, if I ever got a chance, I'd love to ask a question, right? And with you, there's always been a question I had. A lifetime ago, it seems. I used to own a hot rod and custom shop.
Okay.
I did the graphic flames. I did the custom flames, the old flames. I did the skulls. I did all the other stuff, right? And so if I had a customer come in and they wanted the old school fat, Boris kind of flames, I would play some type of music.
Right.
And I'd look at what I was doing and it would tell me what was going on in the music. But if I need to play something or I had something really aggressive, I might put on a very aggressive music or a very, So when you're blending style, your creation of what you're going to be making, or in the building process, do you allow music to kind of move you in that direction? Do you pick those musics to?
Absolutely. I mean, music is a big part of what I do. You know what I mean? It's I kind of pull inspiration from a lot of different things, but I always kind of, people ask a lot of times, okay, like, tell me, why are there two brands? Like, why is it Black Label? Why is it Black Works? And I think music is a great way to define it, right? Like, so for me, I feel like, I'm kind of two different people. I grew up in the 90s, and, there was a lot of, punk rock, all of that. I tell people, Black Label is the punk rock, the rock and roll. It's that side, that vibe for me. And, Black Works is all about kind of the urban, the hip hop, the rap side. And so it's kind of fun for me because I get to play in both of those worlds. And it really, the ideas, the concepts do come from that feeling that's created around music. So it is a big inspiration for me, for sure.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I've enjoyed this time. I hope you have.
Definitely, yeah.
Fantastic.